Let's roll in. It's a roll in short, and I'm visible, but that's how we're going to do it today. So why don't we go ahead and throw the video up on the screen, and we can get right to it and see what's going on with all of this UFO business. Who's behind it? Who is behind it? David here. We're going to hear from David and just Grusk, I think his name is. We're going to hear from him in just a moment. Have you heard about it? Let me know what you think in the live chat, although I won't be reading it, but particularly in the thread below once we wrap it up.
Bombshell claims from a military whistleblower. UFO wreckage recovered by the U.S. kept classified by a secret government program for decades.
Really?
Tonight, a world television exclusive.
Oh my God. Can you believe it? Oh my God. It's got all these people up in arms, all these like little frilly, many of these folks. It's interesting. Who are the folks that are really getting into this? Are they the radical anti-whites? Or is it a different group of people in these United States that are occupying themselves so much with this now?
Exclusive you will only see on News Nation. Welcome to Elizabeth Vargas Reports, earning your trust every night.
Okay. Thank you, earning my trust every night. Bullshit. Bullshit.
UFOs exist. The U.S. government found
UFOs exist. That was a statement of fact.
Quite a number of them, and they are indeed of non-human origin.
The U.S. government has quite, and she'll say, and that's said by this person.
The U.S. government.
I mean, could you imagine if you wanted to get your headlines by just going to the insane asylums that used to exist, and you just start off by saying, as a matter of fact, what some totally insane person was saying to you?
Found quite a number of them, and they are indeed of non-human origin. Those are the explosive allegations from a former intelligence officer tonight in a whistleblower complaint that the inspector general is taking very seriously.
I think this guy, David Gorsk, was in the Air Force for 14 years or something like that. So he knows everything. And what's also interesting is that I believe he has said, I don't know if he said in this particular interview, but I believe he said that he's been authorized to give us this information. Well, thank goodness that the U.S. government is speaking through the mouthpiece of David Grusk.
36-year-old Air Force veteran David Grush is exposing what he calls a top-secret military program that has reportedly found wreckage of fully intact UFOs. The government now calls them UAPs, or unidentified anomalous phenomena.
UAP, because the government already went around demonizing everybody that said UFO, put them in loony bins, and so now they got to change the verbiage. And you know what? The population will just pivot with it, especially those in the white sympathetic sphere that hate learning new words, hate learning new concepts. They'll just pivot on a dime.
For years, there have been whispers and rumors that the government had aircraft of non-human origin. Yes. This report is the first evidence it might be true.
Oh, it might be true. The first evidence? They've kind of been talking about this for a while.
The inspector general has called Grush's complaint urgent and credible. Tonight, we have a world television exclusive interview with the whistleblower in which he claims we not only have the...
We have a lot of different, this V-shaped thing. A lot of different conversations around that.
Aircraft, but the government has been keeping much of it secret from Congress and from the public. News Nation senior national correspondent Brian Enton is here with the story, and this is a blockbuster.
It is a blockbuster. It's really hard to...
It's our ratings suck, and so we need to do this.
Wrap your mind around this. I've been working on this for the past couple of weeks. I'm still having a hard time processing all of it. Over the last couple of years, it sort of became mainstream to discuss UFOs. The government has released videos. They've acknowledged that we don't know what some of this stuff is out there that we have on camera. But
we need to be asking the whole time, when those who are members of Team WWB, you got to be asking, how can we benefit our people? How can we put down anti-whiteism? What could be going on here that could be empowering anti-whites and disempowering those who are their victims?
But this really takes it all to another level. For the very first time, the world is about to hear from a former high-level U.S.
You never immediately believe or heed anything that comes from the anti-white regime.
Intelligence officer who says the government has some of the unidentified craft in its possession. He is revealing these exclusive details about the secret government program.
Okay. He's revealing the secret details of mainstream media. Because the government will come and kill you for not paying your taxes, but they'll let you reveal secret info on alien programs. They won't come and kill you then.
Oh my gosh, dude. Wow.
We have all seen these blurry videos of unidentified flying objects, video evidence, if you will, that old tales of UFOs may not all be conspiracy theories. In recent years, Congress starting an official U.S. government unidentified aerial phenomena task force.
There have been task forces, Project Blue Book. I mean, there are many task forces over the years to investigate claims of craft that couldn't otherwise be explained away. Many of those investigations came away with the conclusion that these were something other than spacecraft or potentially spacecraft from another planet. Having said that, we're not alone in the universe. That would be totally insane to think. And it would probably be a little crazy to think that nothing else of intelligence has ever come and gone or come and hung out or whatever. But if they have the kind of intelligence to cross interstellar space, then they probably have the intelligence to stay out of view if they want to.
Recently renamed the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO.
In most cases, which is not to say that a drone couldn't arrive from some distant place, just like we have sent effectively drones, satellites out beyond the solar system. Well, I believe there's at least one.
And now in a News Nation exclusive, David Grush, an Air Force veteran, former member of that task force, and veteran of the National Geospatial Intelligence.
Get ready for this guy to next year, the year after, to come out as a woman in a man's body.
Agency is formally blowing the whistle on secrets he says no one has ever shared publicly before.
You are one of the most trusted former intelligence officials in the U.S. defense.
Okay, so note that the media, the anti-white media, is puffing this guy up. When do they ever, if it's something that's not anti-white, if it's something that could trouble anti-whiteism, what do? They delegitimize, they even dehumanize the person. But they're blowing this guy up as something valuable, as something meaningful, what he's about to share.
Intelligence establishment.
Yes, I was.
You were
maybe slow this down. That was an interesting.
Trusted with the most trusted former intelligence officials in the U.S. defense and intelligence establishment.
Yes, I was.
Well, that was kind of weird, don't you think? If your name is Pat and I said, your name Pat, do you say, yes?
You were trusted with the most intimate secrets.
Yes.
Grush sitting down with award-winning investigative journalist Ross Coulthart, who's reporting.
Ross Coulthart?
For News Nation and has spent years reporting on the UFO question.
What conclusion did you come to at the end of your time on the UAP task force?
The UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft, if you will, non-human, exotic origin.
It's kind of, do you notice this guy here? He's got a bird chest. He's kind of flabby. I wonder if he's like seeking attention. Could this be part of a bigger program to, I don't know, like who could benefit from this? Who could be behind it? Could it be the Biden people who want to conceal what's happening to Biden? All of these infractions, laws that they broke, he and the Biden crime syndicate. Could it be the Trump people? They want to conceal maybe the charges being brought against Trump. How about the anti-whites who may be setting us up for a little bit more of an alien, hologram firework display right around election time, because they would not be interested in stealing an election?
Origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
You're kidding.
No.
Let me back
I
it up.
thought it
How many?
spacemen, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
You're kidding.
No. I thought it was totally nuts, and I thought at first I was being deceived. It was a ruse. People started confiding in me. They approached me.
So what he's saying, there's nothing is like official. Nothing was like the work. People like whispered things.
Plenty of current and former senior intelligence officers that came to me, many of which I knew almost my whole career, that confided in me.
I won't tell you exactly how I can deduce something. Some things just have to remain secret. For the magician's hand, he's lying. I can tell right now there are several hallmarks but he's lying. He's lying. He's telling a story that he has practiced. These are not memories that he's speaking from.
To me, they were a part of a program. They named the program. I've never heard of it. And they told me, based on their oral testimony, and they provided me documents and other proof, that there was, in fact, a program that the UAP task force was not read into.
Okay, so this guy's totally lying. And the entire establishment media, big media organs, are listening to what he has to say, are spreading or promulgating what he has to say. Nothing, as you've learned, if you've learned anything over the course of your life, is just done for money. As much as folks out there would like to claim that that's the case, people are serving ideological purposes as well. And therefore, the question we have to ask is, what's behind this? Who does it benefit?
Grush alleges the U.S. government has recovered non-human craft for decades. He's filed a whistleblower complaint saying he gave what he calls the classified proof to Congress and the intelligence community inspector general. News Nation has confirmed David Grush's credentials and resume. We've not seen or verified the alleged proof he says he's provided to investigators. He says he can't show us the proof for national security reasons.
Oh, how convenient.
He also tells us he's not seen photos of the alleged craft himself, but has talked extensively with other intelligence officials who have.
If you're right, if you're telling us the truth.
I got to see what this guy's behavior.
Everyone, the entire American public, has been lied to for decades.
Yeah, there's a sophisticated disinformation campaign targeting the U.S. populace, which is extremely unethical. And
it's so sophisticated that they have allowed David to go to the population from being on the inside with inside information and share what he has to share. And all of that sophistication isn't stopping all of the mainstream media from telling everybody how legitimate he is and therefore to heed what he has to say.
And immoral.
You are saying to the human race, for the first time, an official intelligence representative at a high level from the US government is saying publicly, we are not alone.
We're definitely not alone. Absolutely, the data points empirically that we're not alone, yeah.
Do we have bodies?
He was talking about something other than the work he did.
Do we have species?
See if we can, let's see, I have not watched this. Let's see what he does next to this question. Do we have bodies?
Both.
Well, naturally, when you recover something that's either landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots. And believe it or not, as
he's lying. Oh,
it's fantastical.
Look. Oh my goodness.
Dead pilots. And believe it or not,
and then don't look at me while I tell you this whopper.
Fantastical as that sounds.
You're looking at me. Stop looking at me. I don't want to see that your eyes are on me when I tell you this whopper.
It's true.
It's also harder for people to wrap their minds around the concept of a crashed object from somewhere else. It's easier to accept that, we see things in the sky that we can't explain.
Journalist Leslie Kane broke Grush's whistleblower story this morning in the debrief. Ms. Kane's career has been mainstream and credible, having written a series of reports on.
Isn't this interesting? Now the person, the expert to come and speak on this eyewitness is also being lent credibility by the anti-white regime. Your hackles, the hairs on the back of your neck should be standing up as though you sense a demon is in the room, because there is one in the room. Don't be taken in.
UFOs in the New York Times dating back to 2017. He has the credentials, but there's no documents that he's handed over. There's no pictures. And as a journalist, you want to see documents, you want to see pictures. Does that raise a red flag?
I mean, this is like surreal. We are in a totally absurd land with the regime talking about what you used to have to see, like real weirdo actors who have been hired to pretend to be like ufologists and all of these sorts of things talk about.
Not at all, Brian. I mean, you mean documents that actually describe the craft?
Correct. Yeah, like government documents, or to be able to see it for ourselves.
Of course. Don't we all want that? And the problem with that is all of that information is classified. You know, as we said in the story, everything that Grush...
He is absolutely going to come out in the next year or so as a woman in a man's body.
Told Congress and told the Inspector General.
Maybe an alien in a man's body. Maybe he was impregnated. Maybe his story will get deeper and we'll find out that he was probed by the aliens repeatedly in his barracks and in the stairwell and in the showers. The aliens were just like that. They were very horny little suckers.
Of both the IC, the Intelligence Community Inspector General, and the Department of Defense Inspector General. All of that information is classified.
In 2017, Kane reported exclusively in the New York Times that the Pentagon had a secret UFO program. 3 years later, the Pentagon confirmed her story. Her latest report is even more explosive, but Kane says she has multiple sources who back up Grush's story.
I believe it because of all the sources I have who have told me the same thing. So who am I to doubt these very, very high-level people who have been inside these programs for decades, have done their work, and are all telling me the same thing? I mean, I don't think there's some kind of conspiracy among all these people who don't know each other to make something like this up.
So I've got to be blunt about this. You're not making this up.
They get, damn it, it's back to him, so I got to slow down. They get attention when they wouldn't normally have attention. I mean, normally this guy would be, you know, bebopping down the street this month and probably assless chaps, which I'm sure he looks fabulous in. But instead, he's on national television.
This is not a lie.
No, absolutely not.
No, it's not a lie.
In a market like this, you do not.
Come on, the aliens have landed here. I'm trying to get out. This is a short. I'm not staying long.
Because everybody watching this right now is looking at your face.
Yes.
They're going, is this guy for real?
I am for real.
Oh, let's look at that again. This demonstrates 100%. Like if some sort of secret agency in the United States or another country, or CIA or even FBI, if they wanted to put forward somebody to convincingly manipulate you, they would have someone. This is somebody that a private entity, a private individual, a non-public organization is putting forward. This is like the Lincoln Project.
Now is looking at your face. They're going, is this guy for real?
Oh, is he for real? Am I just so good on the trigger that I'm catching those rapid blinks that are normal for people? Or is that an unusual? He's like, look at that brow. Look at those eyes.
I am for real.
And everybody, wasn't even Tucker giving him attention? What is behind this? Team White Wellbeing has to be asking this question, because we are going to recapture our destiny, even with the quagmire of losers trying to pull us down from behind and anti-whites trying to beat us down from above. We're going to recapture our destiny for Western kind. Real men are going to stand at the helm of this ship once again. Of that, I can assure you. And when garbage like this comes out, we got to be willing and ready to dissect and find out what's coming our way.
And I'm sitting here at great personal risk and obvious professional risk by talking to you today.
Obvious professional, and then he's got this real tight-lipped, hiding his mouth.
And just within the last 10 minutes or so, the Pentagon has released a statement to News Nation about this report. They say to date, AARO has not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession or reverse engineering of extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past or exist currently. AARO is committed to following the data and its investigation wherever it leads. AARO, working with the Office of the General Counsel and the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, has established a safe and secure process for individuals to come forward with information to aid AARO in its congressionally mandated historical review. AARO's historical review of records and testimonies activities is ongoing and due to Congress by June 2024, and Arrow welcomes the opportunity to speak with any former or current employee or contractor who believes they have information relevant to this historical review. And Elizabeth, we know that David Grush, he's filed that whistleblower complaint. He's been on the record under oath, testifying to many of these things that he said in our report tonight.
No, nobody says anything false under oath. Just ask the Democrats.
It's important to point out that this statement from the Pentagon from Arrow, Grush is alleging that this top secret program is keeping it a secret from Arrow. So.
Yeah, exactly. And if Grush what he's saying is true, the spokespeople, all of those folks at that level wouldn't even know this was going on anyway.
They wouldn't even know.
I got to ask you.
That's why they're saying it's not happening. They wouldn't even know.
He has a compelling story to tell. Very little of it seems like firsthand knowledge. Isn't he just repeating what somebody else has told him or somebody else has showed him?
Yes, that is what he's doing. But he says he's talked to a number of people who are in very high level positions. He also had basically the highest level of classified material information that he was able to receive. We went back.
Except he had the highest level, and yet he wasn't told anything and saw anything. Isn't that interesting? And yet with this high clearance, he's able to just go to the public and start talking about what he wants. You know how fast the U.S. would cut your head off? You know how fast this government would kill you? Come on.
Checked over, his history, all of his credentials, checked out.
Well, then people would know. People would know that you're dead when you try to reveal things that this government doesn't want you to reveal.
Completely. Unfortunately,
in addition, a couple people have come forward publicly to vouch for him, people who are high-ranking.
They have. And this article first came out this morning. And I think it's interesting that,
vouch for what? See, that's a misleading statement. To say what? That he was in the Air Force? But then you say that generally, and it makes it sound like they're endorsing his claims that he heard X, Y, or Z.
There hasn't been any sort of effort to discredit what he has said, either from the Defense Department.
So interesting. So what happens, and have we had any reaction, by the way, from members of Congress who have been...
Or maybe they decided, maybe it is some sort of a secret police in the United States, and they decided to use somebody that wouldn't be convincing because it's supposed to work for now and then crumble later. It's like products that are meant to go bad.
Been taking this seriously in the last couple of years. We've seen congressional hearings. We've seen NASA's hearing just about a week ago on UFOs or UAPs, whatever you prefer to call them. We see the DNI give a briefing to the White House on that.
Whatever you prefer to call them.
That's when we've been hearing whispers and rumors for years. I remember even former President Trump, when he was in office, sort of saying, "Oh my gosh, if you knew what I knew about UFOs."
Yeah.
So there's always been this intrigue.
There has. And think about it, Elizabeth. If you go back 15 or 20 years, if we were sitting here talking about UFOs, people would think that we were nutty. Now it's gotten to the level of where it is somewhat accepted because the government has come forward to a certain extent and acknowledged that there are these videos that exist. The Navy has released the videos themselves and said, we're not sure exactly what this is that we're seeing. Of course, what Grush is saying really just sort of takes it to the next level.
Wait.
Okay.
It sure does. It's almost impossible to believe. All right, Brian, thanks so much.
It is impossible to believe. So stop believing nonsense, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you exactly what's going on. There's entirely a possibility that alien intelligent beings could have sent craft, numerous different species of them that are have come by the Earth or have come to the Earth or are at the Earth, the probes of various types. It's entirely possible that a probe could go bad and a probe could end up being seen by, or maybe crash and even recovered by a government. Those are things that are not impossible, but they're less likely. It's more likely that if something is alien is going to show up, it's going to show up in a big way. And they're maybe going to park for a while, maybe. And for a while, what does a while mean? I don't know. In their terms, it might mean 1,000 years, and examine and use resources and not interfere with life on the planet, just as we would endeavor to not interfere with life that we find on another planet. Well, as long as rational, sane people are in charge, that's entirely possible. But then, of course, it would be a scenario where you wouldn't know that they're there, just like you don't know what's going on while you're having a surgery. Or they just pull up with a gigantic ship in the sky and they're like, who cares what you think? We go through the cosmos and we pillage everything that we find because we need it to survive. And we no longer have a world. You have to understand of our own. You have to understand the distances in space. Even light speed is slow as all get out in space. And there's no evidence that there's any such scientific fictions as wormholes and all of this sort of business, because for one thing, using reason and logic, if there were, they'd be parking up beside planet Earth all the time. So what's more likely to be going on? I know they're talking about, like, Josh Hawley said something today or yesterday or whatever about the crafts that or the conversations that he's had with these different entities in the government. And of course, there are other Congress people, senators, and the rest, presidents. She's just talking about President Trump. Don't you think they're a bit calm for people who have been told that there is alien life that is arriving on planet Earth, don't you think they're a bit calm? I think they're a little too calm for that. I think they would be trying to hide it, what they were told, and they would be shaking and their lips would be quivering and they would be nervous and they wouldn't know what to do and what to expect next. So they're a bit calm. So you know what it sounds a lot more like to me? This is akin to the security guard not understanding what the regular military employs in combat, in surveillance, etc. They have little tiny drones that can fly up and can watch and are camouflage, hard to see. Security guard's not going to have any idea what's going on. They have ways to listen from distances you have you can't even imagine. Just the regular military. The secret military, the really top-end stuff, are things that the regular military can't fathom. It may well be that there are craft out there today developed by the United States, just like when the SR-71 was being driven down the road. And everybody was like Opie and Andy days. Everything was as basic as could be. There were no computers for people. There were no cell phones. There were people even still with crank phones, for the love of God, while that spaceship was being carted down the road. What in the world does the United States and other major powers have today that they're flying around? Things that F-18s and the rest might see out somewhere, catch on their onboard radar, and wonder, what in the world is that can travel at that kind of speed? There's another possibility that there are folks with wealth beyond imagination, and that they have decided, as makes logical sense, that they personally want access to the most advanced equipment there is on planet Earth. You even see these cases of civilians getting to ride in nuclear submarines. How in the world does that happen? Do you remember that little accident when the submarine, for the enjoyment of these civilians, who the hell were they actually riding on this nuclear sub, jumped the submarine out of the water, the nuclear sub, the top secret everything, and it ended up running into that Japanese trawler or whatever it was as it was breaking through the water for the enjoyment of those civilians? They would want the highest tech at their fingertips. They would want to control it every bit of the way, because that is power that rules. That is power that controls. If there have been craft developed that can manipulate gravity, and that therefore can travel without inertia, can travel and take off at speeds that would liquefy the human body and decelerate at the same, if there are those craft that people can be in, or if they've developed it and people can't ride in it, but machines can, they would be in control of it. That's most likely what this is, ladies and gentlemen. As members of Team White Wellbeing, we have to ask ourselves, we have to remain sane about these kinds of things. We have to say, how can this harm us? What are they using the hype over? They're clearly hyping it up. The credibility of the source, the credibility of those evaluating the source, hyping up the credibility so that you will heed what they have to say. What are they beginning to get ready to do? When they get you to look, when the magician gets you to look in one place, they're busy doing something to the side. You think about that. You want to have that like on the back burner. On the front burner, and this is what we do in service to white well-being, we are always endeavoring to change our world. We're not just evaluating, not just doom documenting, not just entertaining ourselves, not just doom dissecting. We are changing the world here in service to white well-being. How can you use this story to introduce the 5 key concepts, the Go Free lexicon, the Go Free dialectics? How can you use this in conversation? Well, as we get ready to roll out, you're going to have a lot of people in your world that are going to be talking about UFOs and what's going on. Pace them and then lead them. Tell them what you know, entertain them for a moment about the possibilities, and then share the possibilities that anti-whites, for the benefit of the anti-white narrative and white erasure, are doing this because they are probably getting ready to harm Western kind once again. You drop these concepts in conversation that are curative contagions designed to be just absorbed by people, and it works. Proof of concept many tens of thousands of times over now. You do that, and then if they do decide, if they are getting ready, if they have planned to roll out something that's going to victimize us, like a stolen election or something of that nature, who knows? I know they would never do it because they're too moral. If they are, well, then you look like a genius when it happens. Roll out.